There are two things which the Israeli state really excel at right now. One, killing innocent people on a mass scale, and the other is deceit. Now, it is standard practice, you might argue, for states to engage in wartime propaganda at times of conflict. Be that as it may, Israel's current deceit intends specifically to cover up serious war crimes and a massacre, which I think is a better description than a war. This is far too asymmetrical, that is, with one side so much stronger than the other, to be accurately described as war. Now, this is all happening, of course, with the direct complicity of our governments. Thus, this is in part done in our name. Israel official lies have all of that in mind. They wish to manipulate Western public opinion because they fear, with sound grounds, that if public opinion tips decisively against Israel, then politicians will be forced to stop giving a blank check to Israel through arms and diplomatic support. Now, Israel's authorities lie and lie and lie again.
I'd say quite a few things over there. First of all, calling it a war, call it whatever you want to call it. The fact is that when one country is stronger than another, that doesn't make a war more moral or less moral. The question is, what's this war about? What happens if you don't fight the war? That's always the moral question of war. What happens if Israel doesn't fight Hamas? And I think I've said this to you in other videos, and it's a really critical point, and this is what's driving Israeli public opinion. And by the way, why even if the West goes crazy against Israel, the Israeli public opinion will still be supporting this war. And the reason is because Hamas has existed for a very long time, together with Hezbollah and many Iranian-backed groups, Islamic Jihad, always saying they want to destroy Israel. They want to slaughter all the Jews in Israel. They want to remove any area that was Dar al-Islam, part of Islamic control, and they want to Judify, get the Jews out of this place, kill them all. They've always been saying that, but they haven't looked like they have the ability to really carry it out. Hezbollah in the north has definitely been gaining huge capabilities, and Iran has been building this octopus of around. But what they suddenly discovered on October 7th is the capabilities of these guys to come on a suicidal wave of thousands of Hamas fighters, 1,000 of whom I think died in the fighting, but they came across and they were able to slaughter so many civilians in a single day. And it was that wake-up call of, oh my goodness, these guys really, really are gaining a certain power and capability here. We can't just try and contain them anymore. And what happens if you don't destroy Hamas? Well, we saw what happens if you let ISIS or Al-Qaeda look successful. In a short period of time, they gain so much power and popular support that they become 100 times more dangerous and 100 times more powerful. And that's what happened to ISIS. And what will happen if Israel doesn't destroy Hamas, if it didn't fight this war, is that they will take over the West Bank very, very easily. They've already got a lot going on in the West Bank. Israel's all the time active there to try and destroy their cells before they become as powerful as they ended up becoming in Gaza. They won't be able to contain them. The risk is far too great that they and Iranian-backed groups will be ruling the whole West Bank and be sitting right on top of Israel's population centers. Israel without the West Bank at its narrowest is, a lot of people don't know this. You ask them, how wide is it? They have no clue. They think of Israel as a big country. It's only 9 miles wide. You can't defend that militarily. That's crazy, right? They'll be literally on top. With the range that they crossed into Israel, they would cross into every major population center. Instead of slaughtering 1,200 people and beheading 40 babies, they could be slaughtering 120,000 and 1.2 million people. They could be in Tel Aviv, greater Tel Aviv. They could be in the area where there's 1 or 2 million Israelis there. Jerusalem with 600,000. They could be killing millions of people. And this is what this fight is about. This is a battle. It doesn't matter which side is militarily stronger. This is why it's a war. Because without this, there is no ability for Israel to survive. That's the calculus Israel is using, right? And you can talk about all the lies you want. It's not a lie that Israel has moved 1 million Palestinians out of Gaza City where the main ground offensive was taking place. It's not a lie that despite what Britain and America did when they were fighting ISIS and they ended up actually bombing with airstrikes the Al-Salam hospital, that Israel didn't do that. And it went in with a little hole in the wall and then sent commandos in with Arabic speakers and with medical equipment. That's not a lie. It's not a lie they found under hospitals and under medical places and under mosques and under schools and in children's bedrooms, rockets. These are the truth. These are the truth. It's not a lie that 1,200 people were slaughtered by Hamas. It's the truth. So this idea that Israel's committing this massacre, God forbid, and I'll say this very strongly, anyone who thinks Israel's just like, that's it, we want to commit this massacre. They could have done this any time since Hamas took over Gaza Strip. There was a lot of pressure from Israel's population, especially those living in the border communities who were under very constant attack and constant threat of attacks. And at one point,
Yeah.
tunnels digging towards them, other points, rockets firing. A lot of Israelis were saying, why don't we go in and finish off Hamas? And the military and the political leadership under successive governments, including quite right-wing governments, in the end always said no, because it didn't want a war with this many civilian casualties. There is no way to fight Hamas without enormous numbers of civilian casualties. You can do your best at getting to evacuate and do your most heroic, but you cannot avoid them the way that Hamas human shields with them. And that's why I sort of avoided it. And that's why I don't think there's anything untrue about any of these claims. These are the true claims. Israel is fighting to literally protect the survival of millions of people. And anyone who underrates the power of these jihadi organizations that Iran is building around Israel, October the 7th woke us up to just how dangerous they've already become and how dangerous they're going to be in 3, 4, 5 years' time if they're not destroyed today. And that's, yes, the civilian casualties are tragic, but that is the real super tragedy if this war isn't fought. And why somebody like me who hates war, and like you and probably most people out there who do not want a war, we don't even want to say the words we support this war, but we have to because the alternative is so much more horrific. That's not to downplay the level of horror that this war involves, but it's dwarfed by what we're fighting against. And what would happen if this war did not happen? What happens if there's a ceasefire and the murderous militaries of Hamas and all its allies are able to swell in power and come back with all that they're planning to do? This is the sort of war, horrible though it is, that's the actual war you have a moral obligation to fight, despite everything.